The thing that breaks glass may not be the final hit you noticed. It may be a tiny chip that was already sitting on the edge. Glass looks hard, clean, and calm, but unlike metal, it does not usually bend first to warn you. When force reaches a sharp crack tip, stress can squeeze into that tiny point, like pressing a whole crowd through one doorway. Once the crack begins moving, the failure can look instant. To the eye, the glass suddenly shatters. To engineering, the chip, the stress, and the crack path were already lining up. Now place that glass inside a real building. It is not floating alone. Frames, pads, screws, temperature changes, wind pressure, cleaning, and small impacts all become part of the story. The broad flat center may look perfect, while the edge has already been bruised during cutting, moving, or installation. That is why safety is not only about choosing thicker glass. It is also about clearance, support, edge protection, and making sure the glass is not forced to carry stress in the worst possible place. Imagine the force lines moving through a perfect sheet. They spread out smoothly. Add a notch, and those lines have to bend around the sharp tip. Suddenly, the local stress becomes crowded. The sharper and deeper the flaw, the more that spot can dominate the whole sheet. This is why the same bump can do nothing in one place and cause disaster in another. Glass is not only asking, how much force is there? It is asking, where is that force being concentrated? Up close, a tiny crack at the edge is like a canyon too small for us to notice. Most of the time it sits quietly. Then someone slams a door, a table corner knocks the glass, or temperature changes too quickly. The crack tip gets a chance to move. Because the movement can be so fast, people say there was no warning. But the warning may have existed for a long time, too small, too close to the edge, and too easy to ignore. A cutaway view of glass tells a useful contradiction: it is hard, but it is also brittle. Surface and edge flaws can become the starting points of failure. Tempered glass helps by putting the surface into compression, making cracks harder to open. But it is not magic. Serious edge damage, the wrong loading, or harsh conditions can still lead to sudden breakage. And different glass types behave differently, so you cannot take one example and treat it as a rule for every window, door, table, or display case. For everyday life, the lesson is not to test how strong glass is. The lesson is to stop ignoring damaged edges. A glass table, shower door, window, shelf, or cabinet with a chip, crack line, loose fitting, or strange sound should not be treated as normal. Do not slam it, lean on it, or keep using it as if nothing changed. When moving glass, do not grab one corner, strike the edge, or set it directly on a hard floor. The danger often comes from acting like an injured edge is still perfect. The before and after story is clearer than the moment of failure. With no serious flaw, glass can distribute force within its design limits. With a micro crack, stress is pulled toward the tip. With repeated edge impacts, poor support, or a bad fit, the risk rises. This does not mean every little scratch will explode. It also does not mean all glass is equally dangerous. The real point is that failure is often a chain: earlier defects, installation details, and the final load all stacked together. So yes, glass can look strong while a tiny edge chip is quietly changing the whole situation. Material safety is not just about thickness or appearance. It is about crack tips, stress concentration, edge protection, and how the object is actually used. At home, a visible chip is a reason to stop forcing, slamming, or bumping the glass. In engineering, cutting, transport, installation, and support matter as much as the glass itself. Safe glass is not glass we blindly trust. Safe glass is glass whose small defects are understood before they grow.